In the freezing cold, the man rolled up his pants and was horrified to find that his socks had frozen to his skin. To make matters worse, his calves have swollen to a dark purple color. The man realized that he could not delay any longer. He then carefully pinched the edge of the sock. Then he took a deep breath and pulled down hard. A sharp pain shot through his calf and his body shuddered. He tried to calm himself down, then carefully tore off a piece of flesh on the sock. After a fierce struggle of thought, man made a crazy move. Saw him slowly into the flesh into the mouth, but just bite up. The psychological and physical will produce a strong discomfort. The man can only give up this terrible idea, but he did not throw away the skin, but carefully put into the pocket to keep the last security. He then found a place and began to sleep and replenish his strength. Meanwhile, on the 7th day after his disappearance, the mother came to the house where the man lived, only to find the clothes in the room neatly arranged, while the dishes in the kitchen were moldy. She immediately realized something was wrong and rushed to the forest rescue team and explained her son's situation. The rescue team quickly sent a helicopter to look for the man. The man was still searching for the radio signal. Unfortunately, there was still no response. The man had to grab his skis and continue on his way. However, due to leg injuries, he walked very slowly. I do not know how long, when the man walked halfway up the mountain, suddenly heard the sound of helicopters. At first the man thought he had heard wrong, so continued to move toward the front, but not far. The roar is getting closer and closer. The man looked up and was surprised to find a helicopter flying above his head. He desperately shouted for help. Unfortunately, he was in the middle of a dense forest, completely blocked the rescue team's line of sight. Saw the helicopter was about to fly away. The man burst out of the amazing strength. He struggled to swing the hand of the skis to speed up the walk. The thick snow limits the man's progress. When he finally got out of the forest, the helicopter flew straight away. Without even noticing him, the man watched as the helicopter disappeared into the air, but there was nothing he could do. He collapsed on the cold snow in despair, letting the snowflakes fall on him. Worse still, the man had exhausted all his strength, and could only wait for death to come. However, after a whole night, the man managed to pull through. At this time, his body has been extremely weak. If he does not eat, is likely to be starved to death. In order to be able to live, he was no longer scruples. Then carefully pulled out the piece of flesh from the bosom. Hesitated for more than an hour, before closing his eyes tightly stuffed into his mouth. Forcibly resisted the urge to dry vomit, swallowed. After eating, the man's eyes stared at the near vertical mountain peaks, because he knew that if he wanted to survive, he had to find a place with a signal, in order to pass the message of help out, and climbing to the top of the mountain was his only chance. So the man half-kneeled and moved forward with difficulty, bit by bit. In this way, I do not know how long, the man finally climbed to the top of the mountain. He took out the radio with great expectation. However, there is still no letter on the screen. The man did not want to give up, so he dragged his legs to be crippled to creep forward. Until he climbed to the center, he was willing to stop. The man first prayed silently in his heart, and then slowly looked at the radio. But no miracle happened. The radio was still dead. Worse still, the radio had only 4% of its battery power left. The man gave up the struggle, and turned to the ground. Then he pressed the record button, and began to say his final goodbye to his mother.